Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and today it is time for a professional match of StarCraft 2, and what I've got for you is a best of 5 series of Protoss versus Terran, where in game number 1, we find ourselves on Disco Bloodbath. It's the map right here, with the Ewok dancing in the center, alongside those beautiful, colorful tiles. I mean, he's not dancing right now because, well, there's no unit close to it to see it, so through the fog of war, he seems idle, but trust me, he's dancing. It's also the map, though, with these really stupid, annoying, bright flashes inside of the main and the natural. Like, which of the map makers thought that that would be a good idea? Seriously. Am I the only one that finds them really, really distracting? I mean, it's gotten to the point, right, where I get so distracted by them, and I know it's pretty minor, but it's gotten to the point where I forget my build order. I'm so focused on, like, checking these lights that I can't micro my workers, and it's all just a little bit silly. I don't know why. I really hope that at some point they do some sort of hot fix and just get rid of those flashes inside of the main and the natural. You know the worst part about it? I know this video has been going on for 1 minute, and I've been complaining for the majority of it. But you know what's even more annoying about it? If you play on the low graphics settings, which is what most pro gamers do, they disappear. On the low graphics settings, you do not have these annoying, stupid flashes inside of your main base. But obviously, since I do a lot of YouTube videos and live streaming and all that, I mean, why would I want to broadcast a game that looks ugly, right? That doesn't make any sense. Anyways, should I just introduce the players just like I pretty much always get started? I think it's probably not a bad idea. Spawning here on the right-hand side of Disco Bloodbath and playing with the red Terran SCVs. He's from the Netherlands. We're looking inside of the main of uThermal. And his opponent on the left-hand side playing with the blue Protoss probes, likewise also from the greatest country in the world, we have none other than Harstem. Now, I might be a little bit biased. I always enjoy casting these two players because obviously I'm also from the Netherlands myself. And, well, I mean, there's no denying that these are certainly the best two players that we have from the Netherlands. So I'm always interested in figuring out which of the two is better right now. uThermal, as of me making this video, is the rank 26 in the world. Harstem, currently the rank 38. So certainly high-level contenders at the professional gaming scene as well. SCV right now, mostly just confirming the way for that Reaper, trying to figure out if there is indeed something fishy going on inside of the main base of Protoss. Reaper right now, though, should figure out exactly what's happening, and it's going to start shooting away at some of these probes right from the very beginning. Marine already having one confirmed kill. So I guess that's that scouting probe from earlier. I'm assuming, though, yeah, Harstem did see the command center building, so that's very important for him, knowing that there's not anything strange happening for the time being. Harstem, by the way, apparently also having his own face spinning around on the Nexus. That's next level right there. I want to have my own face spinning around on the Nexus. But anyways, for now, it looks like this Reaper is going to be shot away. On the left-hand side of the map, though, look at that. A starport is being proxied. This is one of those things that's relatively common, but not something we see every single time. It's actually pretty annoying too, because that Reaper, it's essentially forcing the Stalker and then that Adept to stay at home, because as soon as they leave, the Reaper is gonna go back in. So Harstem is forced to check several different corners of his base to figure out exactly where that Reaper is located. Actually, when it comes to Reaper control, now that Bjorn is in the army, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe uThermal can be considered to be the best micro Reaper player in the world. There we go. We'll confirm exactly what's going on inside of that main base, sees the robotics facility right now. The thing is, this observer here is absolutely critical for Harstem. He needs to figure out what he's going up against, right? So the Reaper will get picked up, not a big deal. uThermal knows exactly what's happening. The thing is, Harstem has no idea, so he needs to figure out where that starport is located, or at the very least that it's not inside of the main base right now of the Terran player. Now, looks like the small hit squad right here. He's looking, by the way. He's trying to figure out if there is anything. The hit squad right here that was primarily meant to kill a possible Oracle. It's going to make its way towards the other side of the map. Harstem clicking around, figures out that indeed there is going to be a third command center already. He knows that there is something not quite right. Apparently, it's going to be a tech lab follow-up as well in the starport now that the Liberator is out. But Harstem, I mean, he should be able to, yeah, indeed, warp in units just in time. What's this army doing over here, though? Ooh, I like this. Okay, sick. So Harstem does have observers everywhere. You should be able to deal with the Liberator just fine. Will you have enough, though, to shut down these Marines over here? I really like this. This is a small hit squad that was meant to kill any Oracles if they were to be a thing. There's an observer above this, so at the very least, the Widow Mine should be able to, you know, not get too much damage done here. One of the Adepts, though, already getting picked off as well. Stalkers can poke away at that Widow Mine for a little while too, but the bunker is going to finish. And if the third command center, or rather the third Nexus falls, that would be an absolute disaster. Third command center, though, has been going up for a little while already for the Terran player. And while, yeah, these Stalkers are forced to stay inside of the main base, that Nexus is taking a lot of damage. Now, there is an Immortal coming up, and that Immortal, I think, should be enough to, at the very least, get rid of that bunker. One Zealot now also sacrificing its life for ire. And while there is quite a bit of damage that was dealt here by the Terran player, I think all things considered, not quite worth it, right? I mean, he took a lot of damage, took a lot of losses, and while he did take a couple of those Protoss units to the grave as well, it's really not worthwhile as the Nexus still finishes up. Okay, ooh, I love this. It will actually be scanned right now as well by the Protoss. Look at this. This always feels like StarCraft 1 to me. So we had a bit of a bio opener, right? Where we have a lot of Marines in the earlier stages of the game. However, then a switch towards mech. We already see that Cyclone upgrade right now coming up as well inside of that factory's tech lab. Really critical if you want to try and play mech against Protoss. It's one of those things that is still relatively undiscovered. I mean, there's no denying that Terran Bio is just the preferred army of choice for Terran players against Protoss. And even though Stimpak just very recently got a buff as well, right? Apparently uThermal wants to try and see what happens when he plays mech against this Protoss player instead. I'm also curious though to see what the response from Harstem is going to be. I mean, I'm always of the opinion that if you can go for like Archon Immortal Zealot, it's a really good unit composition to go for. And I think that he should be okay, right? As long as he produces enough units to counter those big, heavy mechanical units as well. So the starport right now, just to double confirm, I suppose, that there's not going to be any bio. Normally, you don't want to get rid of that starport. Yeah, this is certainly going to give Harstem all of the information that he will need in this game. So it's going to even be the Blue Flame upgrade right now as well for those Hellions. The Infernal Pre-Igniter? Yeah, I think that's the one. And he's going to be able to start roasting some of these probes as well. Makes this matchup seem a lot more like the Zerg versus Terran matchup, where Terran is going to be able to get quite a lot of harassment damage. Now, interestingly enough, yeah, the response right now from Harstem is apparently to go for a Colossus. Generally speaking, right, when it comes to dealing with Terran mech, I much prefer Immortal Archon Zealot. I think it's much better. We'll see what happens in this game. There we go, though. Even though Blue Flame is not done just yet, these Hellions are still diving on top of the probes. It takes 3 Hellions to one-shot a probe, so 4 probes right there for 4 Hellions. Not quite the damage that you're really looking for. Love this observer placement, by the way. Keeping track of exactly where this army is located. But the thing is, when you play mech, you're primarily limited by the amount of gas that you can harvest. So normally when you play bio, you're kind of limited to the amount of minerals that you can harvest, but when you play mech, it's usually limited by gas primarily. Big switch right now towards siege tanks, by the way. Siege tanks and Hellions just happening right now. Maybe that's a response to seeing Colossus, actually. You know what? I think that's the response to seeing the Colossi. So if you know your opponent is not going for Archon Immortal, going for a lot of Liberators doesn't really make a lot of sense. However, even though Colossi have a lot of ranged, obviously, they have 9 ranged in total. Did he just kill one of his own Stalkers? I think so. Poor Stalker, man. Not sure what happened. But I guess if you know that your opponent is going Colossi, they have a unit with a lot of range, but I guess siege tanks have even more range. So right now, it's gonna just be multiple siege tanks being produced here at once, and then more and more factories coming up, all with tech labs, and then, well, I guess one with a reactor right over here as well. This does not come up very often. I have no idea how this actually plays out right now. I know that Maru tried playing this for the first time, I think about a year or so ago, where he went mech against Protoss. And everyone kind of thought that it was a meme, and then for a while everyone played it for a bit, and it kind of seemed okay. And then everyone shifted back towards playing the bio style. I always like, though, seeing mech against Protoss, even though it's probably not the best composition to go for. This Terran army looks absolutely terrifying, by the way. I mean, Harstem, he probably doesn't expect his army to move out. Look at that, he went all the way up to 85 workers. Generally speaking, Terran mech doesn't move out until it's maxed out. uThermal right now moving out without any upgrades. He has no armories. He's got no armories, no upgrades whatsoever for these siege tanks. He's not even waiting until he's at 200 supply. He's trying to see if he can catch his opponent off guard. Only just now is when we see the fleet beacon transition right here, and then also additional starports, or stargates rather. Oh my god, there's no way. Do not walk up that ramp. Yeah, no, Harstem decided to get a little bit cheeky there. Just got himself 1,000,000 workers. He's like, okay, great. You want to play mech? That's fine. I'll defend my bases, and I'll just get 1,000,000 probes, and then I'll transition to an army that can actually counter yours. uThermal, though, decided not to invest any money right now into getting any of his armory upgrades, which must have been missed here by Harstem. I mean, he's got quite a lot of vision inside of the main here, but he hasn't seen any armories. Yeah, he's going up against the Terran timing attack that is supposed to kill him. And when you look right now at the amount of supply, I mean, even though these units might not necessarily be the best for the job, oftentimes in these scenarios, right, StarCraft is just a numbers game, and if these Colossi cannot hit the siege tanks, I mean, the siege tanks are just gonna wreak havoc, right? What are they gonna do? What are you gonna do against this? There's no way. Look at this. There's even more army units coming across the map as well. Did that prism get picked off? I guess it did. Yeah, the Cyclone right there has a kill too. All of the probes evacuate away except for a couple that apparently did not quite make the transfer. At some point, Harstem is gonna have to make a stand and fight this, right? But I'm looking at this right now. I see uThermal transitioning towards another base, putting a planetary fortress head right on top of that command center, and I don't see how he's gonna counter this army. How many Immortals and Archons does he have right now? It's 4 Immortals and then 3 Archons. And then apparently a carrier. Okay. I actually expected him to go for Tempest. I guess carriers would work quite well as well, because right now there's really not a whole lot of anti-air available here whatsoever, other than a couple of Marines and leftover Cyclones. But here we go. Protoss making a final stand, but isn't there way too much? Yeah, he's not even gonna try and fight it out. uThermal cleanly sweeps up game number 1. Alrighty, game number 2. We find ourselves on Thunderbird, and it's currently 1-0 in favor of uThermal. Now, you know what? The beautiful thing about playing a best of 5 or a best of 3 or a best of 7 series for that matter is that you can adjust to what your opponent has shown you already. Now, if this were to be another mech game, which I guess it's not, judging by the fact that 2 SCVs are already making their way across, but if this were to be another mech game, I can certainly bet you that Harstem is going to adjust his strategy. So he probably assumed that his opponent would try and max out. He probably assumed that he would have time to transition. So he just simply got a little bit greedy and decided to probe all the way up to 85 workers. That's a ton. He basically got himself a lot of economy going right from the get-go. And it's nice and all, but it didn't really work out in his favor. Now this probe, it's looks like it's just gonna be sent straight across instead, not gonna make a little detour, so these 2 barracks will go up completely uncontested. And this is one of the things that I personally really like about watching uThermal play. He seems to be one of the players that you really don't want to face off against. Just really annoying with his strategies and build orders and, you know, hyper aggression. He's not afraid to, like, cheese every single game if he needs to, okay? Like, he's one of the strongest macro Terrans in the world, and then he just cheeses you every game if you know, aren't prepared for it. I remember him doing, like, battlecruiser rushes before it was cool, okay? I know right now it's very common, but back in the day, they weren't that good. Interestingly enough, I haven't seen him play that many battlecruisers himself, or maybe I just haven't seen the right games. Ooh, that SCV has to go into mining. Yeah, there you go. Nice catch. Really important, actually. Losing 1 SCV of eco is actually a big deal, especially when you decide to send your units to the other side of the map early on. Now, at this point, Harstem knows that something is not quite right. So he's seen the refinery, he's seen the lack of a command center, he knows that something's not quite right, and that means indeed that the Nexus will be delayed. Already though, a really good spot here for Harstem. I mean, just simply sending that scouting probe across the map is a big deal. I mean, even if he manages to, like, secure the low ground here, it's definitely not the end of the world. Harstem can just simply play really defensively and slowly make his way towards the low ground. He doesn't really have to rush. He knows that the commitment right here from his opponent is big enough to not actually have to worry about this too much. Still pulling a couple of probes though, just trying to shoo all of this away. Great control so far. 1 worker has been killed by Harstem actually, so it's going to be the Protoss player who's superior defensively so far. Shield battery finishes up, and that is certainly going to slow down this push for Terran quite a bit. He's not going to be able to get that much done anymore. I think he should just send these probes back to mining and maybe just get another gateway unit out. Now, he did actually lose a lot of mining time though, so you know what? Even though it felt like this push here from uThermal got shut down right at the very beginning of it, man, his micro is so good, right? He's still getting quite a bit of value. Oh, pulling back those weakened Marines every time. Still getting quite a bit of value. You know what? If you give him a second, he will kill like 5 workers. There you go. Oh my god, still going after that 1 Stalker as well. A couple of almost like dead Marines. Okay, well, right now, or Stalkers rather, but a couple of almost dead probes too, but I guess these Marines are mostly just sacrificing themselves right now for the greater good. These two. Whoa, dude, that Stalker, man. How many kills does that Stalker have? 7. He's got 7 freaking kills. Oh my god, he still gets 1 probe too. Alright, so Jimmy, you're the last one. It's sad. Oh my god, if you can land that barracks, that would be a disaster. Okay, not gonna happen. He tried though. This is what I mean, right? So it feels like uThermal is a very annoying player to go up against. His micro is really good. His strategies are always really strong as well, and just he's fearless in a lot of those scenarios. And then, you know, just really annoying to play against here in the sense that that Nexus could very well be blocked there for like another 30 seconds. In the end though, in the grand scheme of things, right? If you look right here at the amount of units lost, it's really mostly even, although there were quite a few probes killed. uThermal obviously delaying his own command center quite a bit as well, so I think we're mostly even, but it's one of those games where the Terran player is the one who got to be in charge. Harstem actually already checking around the map, trying to figure out, look at the path that probe took, right? Trying to figure out if there's like any proxies going across the map here as a follow-up as well. He knows that uThermal may very well be proxying like another starport, just like we saw in game number 1, and then transition towards a macro game. There's going to be a Viking though this time around. That's actually quite helpful. We also now do see that that Cyclone coming up, very helpful defensively, but already a 3rd command center. Apparently uThermal right here sees things that he's happy about. Dark Shrine has been spotted, so apparently he feels comfortable enough to just simply plant down that 3rd command center. We'll see what Harstem is going to be able to make use of here though. Like, is he really going to be able to use this for too long? Cyclone actually moved across the map too. There's no prism yet, right? Now he really needs to get a prism out if he wants to do anything. Okay, yeah, okay. So I like this decision. Because, I mean, it's been scouted. It means that Terran has to defend against this. He's already going for a Raven right now, which he probably wasn't planning on, but obviously the Raven is a great detector here for the Terran army. You've already done the damage, right? It's been scouted, just cancel the Dark Shrine and just get more observers out. It makes sense. Because you're not going to be able to really get a whole lot of damage done against these high-level players when you go up against them with Dark Templar and it's been spotted, right? It's just not going to happen. This Raven will definitely be timed out correctly, and it would have shut down any Dark Templar play. Pretty smart, pretty smart. Alright, so the Viking right now also looking around the map. It tried to figure out if maybe there was like a war prism on their way here towards the other side of the map. Right now though, just simply patrolling left and right next to the entrance as far as the airspace goes towards the natural here. And actually, you know what? There's like a humanoid statue right there on the low ground. I've never noticed that. And there's actually also some sort of strange looking nexus there on the low ground. What's going on with that thing? I have no idea. Why does it have spikes? It's pretty scary actually, man. That's a pretty cool skin. I wouldn't mind seeing that as like a building skin for Protoss. Speaking of skins, by the way, these are the new Stalkers. They do look pretty fancy, right? A little disappointed that Harstem is not playing with the building skins though. I guess he doesn't like him. Anyways, Double Forge right now is a follow-up here for Protoss. And once again, dude, do we see mech? There's 2 more factories coming up. We do already see Cyclones coming up. We see the Cyclone upgrade here as well being researched. And now 2 more factories. uThermal, are you just going to play mech every game? I mean, I don't mind it. I would love to see more of it. It just feels like one of those strategies that's relatively easy to counter, right? If it gets spotted, which is what Harstem is looking for right now. There you go. You see him clicking? You see him clicking? He knows. If you see additional factories going up, this is the moment where you need to start preparing. I think, right? So I like the idea of going Colossi if your opponent is going for a lot of Cyclones, but I personally think that just Archon Immortal Zealot is just more well-rounded. I mean, let's be real. Immortals especially are super good when it comes to dealing with those Terran mechanical units, right? Like they deal like 1,000,000 damage. There we go. Okay, so an Immortal does start up. He already has the charge upgrade coming up here as well. So if he wants to, he could hit a timing attack. Or he could just simply... Yeah, I quite like this. So he's basically just expanding. Once again, similar approach to the previous game. I just wonder if we're going to see him go up to like 85 probes once again. It felt like that was the big mistake, right? So normally, and I get his reasoning, right? Normally, when we see players playing Terran mech, they will try and max out and get a bunch of upgrades. In this case, once again, I don't see any armories. That's actually a bit of a problem, right? Because if he wants to hit a timing attack once again, and Harstem just simply goes up to, say, like 70 probes or 75-ish probes, and he just starts making Archons and Immortals and Zealots, I feel like this is going to be a super difficult position to break. Now, there are some strong locations for siege tanks that I've experienced as a Zerg player myself, especially if you have this as your base. Putting siege tanks right above this high ground, super annoying. Wouldn't mind seeing Harstem knock down these rocks here in just a little bit. But once again, uThermal is making his way across the map. And right now, after a couple of Cyclones and a couple of Hellions, he makes the switch towards Hellions and siege tanks. What a cool way of playing. Now, observer placement, though, has been absolutely spot on. Harstem knows exactly what is happening. Not that many probes this time around, and yeah, look at that. Good stuff. These units certainly are not going to be enough here to shut down all of this Protoss army. Nice pick-off those, nice pick-offs though by uThermal. Managed to get himself at least some of those Protoss Zealots as well, but I think this should be okay. He still continues making probes. Is he feeling that confident? I mean, I feel like that was the big error in the previous game. I guess also the big error was going Colossi though. It just doesn't really make as much sense, right? So right now, adding on a couple of High Templar too. I think they're gonna morph into those beautiful glowy boys here in just a second. And that means, yeah, there we go. And that means that it's gonna be the army composition that I think is best when it comes to dealing with mid-game mech. At some point though, you will have to transition towards some Stargate units as well. But we'll see. So last game we saw uThermal pushing across at about 180 supply. We'll see if that's once again going to be the case. Harstem though, this time around, does get himself that 4th base up and running. And he's actually warping in a lot of really beefy units right now. Just basically spending all of his money right now on gas-heavy units. Wouldn't mind seeing that one too. Yeah, I was going to say, like, if you're going to go Archons, gases definitely need to be taken. And now he also starts... Yeah, no, I like this position a lot. I think this position right here for Harstem is much better than it was last game. Okay, so the siege tanks seem to be ready to go. Once again, around the same amount of supply. This time around, he did end up losing a couple more Hellions than last game. I think so anyway. Maybe it's not even that bad. I'm afraid he didn't finish the rocks. That's a little bit worrisome, to be honest. Okay, we do, by the way, now see the switch towards armory. So at the very least, uThermal wants to see if he can potentially expand behind this towards like another attack a little while later. 5th Nexus now coming up as well. Harstem actually setting up what seems to be a flank. Okay, this could actually be big. If he manages to like charge these Zealots in from the right-hand side right on top of these tanks, that's huge. Once again, big Zealot warp in right over here. He needs to be careful though. But the flank has arrived. Zealots charging forward, trying to hit all of these siege tanks at once. Couple of the Immortals right now though being shut down with the interference matrix of the Raven, but look at the damage. Zealots, man. Zealots are ridiculously good. I mean, obviously those Archons tanking a lot of damage, taking a lot of siege tank hits. He does need to back off because 4 more tanks have joined the fray as well, but that shutdown there was critical. Certainly not out of the waters yet though. uThermal's army supply is still looking very strong. 95 versus 79. I think you want to get the Archons going, my man. I think you want to go Archons, yeah. Oh my god. Well, speaking of Archons, apparently 4 more glowy boys right now come from the south. Not a lot of Zealots remain, but these siege tanks are not going to be able to siege up. And that means that, once again, Protoss should be able to ward off this Terran army. Love the small adjustments, right, that Harstem has made this game. He's like, okay, you're doing the same thing again? I mean, we just played against this strategy, dude. I'm not going to make the mistake and autopilot into your arms once again. Still though, on the back of this, uThermal right now did get himself that 4th command center on the low ground, but already the 5th Nexus has finished up. Siege tanks trying to see if they... Oh my god, he's just gonna try and see if he can brute force his way through it. Is that enough? I think it actually might be. That Prism obviously did get nerfed a little bit. Its pickup range not as strong as it once was, but you can still certainly pick up a lot of those units. And when you can get on top of the Terran production, that is where Protoss is scariest. A couple of Zealots get split off to work on the mineral line at the 3rd base. And Harstem is the one who obtains the victory. So, when it comes to the adjustments that Harstem made, first off, he obviously changed his unit composition up entirely, right? I mean, he didn't go for any Colossus, which I quite like. I don't really know exactly... I guess, I'm assuming at least the Colossi were made when he first saw that it was going to be mech, and he noticed that it was going to be heavy Cyclone Hellion. Because obviously, generally speaking, the reason why Cyclones are scary is because they can lock on at a short range and then... you know, make a lot of distance. And for short-range units, it's very difficult to get rid of them, right? So Archons and Immortals, they don't have that much range. Zealots also, generally speaking, get picked off quite easily. So I guess against, like, heavy Cyclone armies, and once again, by the way, an SCV made its way across. But I guess against heavy Cyclone armies, you probably do want to mix in a couple of Colossi and then switch to Terran or Protoss Air instead. In the previous game, though, he just simply decided to go with Archons, Immortals, and then some Blink Stalkers to buy time to get critical mass. He also didn't get as many probes as fast, right? So he played it a little bit more safely. And I don't know if he scouted around the main base, but he may have figured out that the armories were super late. Anyways, once again, uThermal, playing a little bit cheeky. Mixing it up once more. Not gonna go for double barracks proxy this time around, just a single one. This is a very common style that we've been seeing over the last couple of years of Terran players. But once more, right? Harstem not taking any risks. In the first game, we saw him scouting very late. I mean, relatively late anyways, against someone like uThermal. In this case, though, once again, just like in game number 2, he's going for a much faster scout. And this will allow him to figure out exactly what is happening or what is lacking. And in this case, seeing that there is no barracks on this side of the map, but knowing that there is an orbital command coming up, it's all the information you need. I mean, technically, it could be hiding, you know, pretty nearby as well, which is what we see a lot too, just to try and blindside Protoss. But yeah, he knows that something is happening on the other side of the map. And you know what? uThermal, once again, mixing it up. I mean, usually, once again, it's gonna just be a Reaper, maybe a Marine or two, and then a transition back towards the standard. He's once again mixing it up, going for Concussive Shell and 2 Immortals. Now, you can get 2 Immortals out by the time that the Concussive Shell upgrade finishes. This is once again one of those strategies that can be really scary. Harstem safely getting himself that shield battery near the front, chrono boosting out a couple of those Stalkers. Interestingly enough, skipping out the Adept entirely, I guess that's because of the map. I mean, on Ephemeron, it's pretty difficult to jump up into the main. There's this area right over here, which is what Harstem is already naturally blocked. So I guess he feels like he's got enough time to get the Stalker out anyways. Here we go, though. Marauders are nearly... Yeah, well, they're nearly in the natural. Now they are. And this is painful. Ooh. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, dude. That was so close. Yep. uThermal knows it as well, right? That could have been 100% game over there. If he would have gotten that Stalker, it would have been, well, not 100%, but it would have been close to game over. Right? Because if he gets the Stalker, second Stalker is not going to be able to help out that much. Love the amount of probes that were pulled as well. Second shield battery gets cancelled, and I think that Harstem has been able to defend just fine. There's already a starport coming up as well on the other side of the map. Now notice, no command center. So whatever happens here, Harstem can lose a couple of probes, he'd be fine, but there's no command center. He's actually still producing Marauders. Now, uThermal is also a very emotional player. Sometimes he gets very frustrated when he loses. And then he starts playing strategies that are a little bit, let's just say, curious as follow-ups. I don't know if that's the case here, but I've seen him get very pissed off at multiple offline tournaments. And this little bit of a micro mistake over there is definitely one of the things that I can imagine it would trigger Mark quite a bit. Oh, did you see that? That was cheeky as well, though. He's trying to bait out these Stalkers. Harstem too good for that. So he wanted to show only 2 Marauders there, trying to see if these Stalkers would get on the prowl, and then, you know, obviously join groups with the others. I quite like this though. You know what? If you're gonna wall on the top of the ramp, I guess this is a bit of a problem. Sadly here for uThermal, he already did the Protoss player that is. He already did finish the warp gate upgrade, although apparently this warp gate just barely did not finish warping in. I'm just looking at the economy game right now, right? And uThermal is not going to be able to put on that much more pressure anymore. I mean, he's going to apparently go for a Widow meme follow-up right now. That's fair enough. But I quite like this position right now that Harstem is in, as long as he doesn't take, like, critical damage. He does have 1 observer, only a single one. Not sent across the map, so he doesn't really know exactly what's happening. Hallucinated Phoenix right now is going to follow the retreat right here of these Marauders, and it should show soon what is going on inside of the main base. Now, it's going to actually get there on a bit of an awkward moment, right as this medevac might be boosting in as well. Looks like one of the barracks was picked off, or I guess the one barracks was picked off. Okay, here's uThermal with that medevac. If you can get worker kills, that's huge. Probes do get pulled in time. Clear defense. Ah, look at that. That was pretty much as good as you can get it. But this always kind of feels like a bit of a desperation move. Because he's manually retargeting here. Just to deny as much mining time as possible. But this always feels like a bit of a desperation move, right? I know that usually you at least do a little bit of damage with Widow Mines. But I feel like top-level Protoss players barely lose workers to Widow Mines. I mean, that was 2 probes right there for like 2 Widow Mines as well. And then obviously also a lot of time. Did he get Blink? No, no Blink. Actually, double... Did I just see 2 Twilight Councils? Yeah. Okay. He's got a second Twilight Council coming up for that sick Blink Stalker Adept upgrade. No, I don't know. I guess it's just a small little error. He does go for double Forge here as well. Once again, attempting right now to get in with that 1 Widow Mine. Medevac dives in. Not gonna happen. At the same time, we do see the Stalkers here on the other side of the map taking a huge amount of damage. And actually, you know what? That's a big deal. At the same time, we see the Liberators right now being a little bit of a nuisance here as well in the natural of the Protoss. Denying some mining time, but not killing that much. Even though I didn't really like the early game here for uThermal too much, right now he has managed to secure himself a nice, stable game, right? He's not going to be able to break anytime soon. He got himself that 3rd command center finishing up at a really healthy time as well. Harstem already transitioning towards the 3rd Nexus too, and I think all things considered, this is fine. I think this is fine for now. Apparently the Immortal, the Sentry, and the Zealot are feeling brave. They moved across the map for a little bit. He hasn't actually killed that tech lab yet, interestingly enough. You'd imagine he would go after the tech lab pretty quickly, right? But not gonna happen. And once again, you know what? Dude, it's once again Terran Mech. Maybe I missed some of the GSO games or something, where one of the top tier Terran players decided to play mech as well. I wouldn't be surprised. Because it seems like Harstem has seen the light or something. Or rather, uThermal has seen the light when it comes to playing Terran mech. Do you think there's going to be a variety of Terran mech here once again? So he doesn't just go for like, you know, once again, Cyclones into siege tanks. Do you think he wants to mix it up? Oh my god, he does go for a lot once again. Dude, I love this Terran mech though. It's so sick, right? I mean, for the longest time, we never saw, like, we never saw a lot of variety in the matchups, right? So, for the longest time, Terran Bio was the gold standard in Zerg versus Terran. And then, you know, in Protoss versus Terran, we saw a lot of Terran players also going for Bio. Mechanical units were used primarily in the early game for defense, for cheese, or at the very least for, like, very specific rules, right? Or reasons. In this case, it's just going to be his main army composition. That's going to be these mechanical units. Now, in game number 1, it worked out wonderfully, primarily because Harstem was caught with his pants down. In this case, though, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, Harstem should know what is happening. I mean, he's got an observer inside of the main right there, so he knows exactly what's happening. Once again, goes for the Stalkers with their Blink upgrade, which is just a good upgrade in general. Also to make sure that that you can get rid of those Cyclones when they start roaming around. You can blink on top of them, very helpful. And I'm assuming he's once more gonna just simply transition to watch Archon Immortal Zealot. I wouldn't mind seeing that here whatsoever. Also, as soon as he figured it out, that's actually the top priority every time. Right? Is he just gonna wall in with pylons? Never gonna hit a supply block again, I guess. Okay, that seems very inefficient. But once again, right? He's going up against mech. He knows mech doesn't move until a little while later into the game. So he's fine doing this. That seems crazy, though. Dude, he's gonna have so much open supply. Anyways, in the previous game, the Archon Immortal Zealot Bowl worked out just fine. Wouldn't mind seeing that once again. You don't need the biggest army for shutting down these initial couple of Cyclones and Hellions. Yeah, he's mostly just threatening right now to be out on the map. And all that you really need to do right now if you're Protoss is just not take a really awful trade, right? So as long as he can max out, his maxed out army should do quite well against the Terran. I would love to once again see that switch right now towards Mass Siege Tank. Yeah, there it is. Sick. So armory a little bit quicker this time around. I don't know, it kind of feels like uThermal is still experimenting as well, right? At least judging by, oh my god. Oh my god. He created, oh my god, that's a big deal. He created such a massive wall off. And, well, Apparently still 13 probes full. That includes actually some of the probes that fell right here in the natural too. One more will get picked off. 22 workers in total. That's actually a very painful loss. That includes, I was gonna say, what was it saying? Yeah, I'm not sure anymore. Sometimes I start the sentence and I want to complete it later. And I forget what the sentence was all about. Anyways. So far though, I quite like this position here for uThermal, but he needs to be careful. Maxed out Protoss, very scary. Especially when it comes to playing against Terran mech, right? Like, you can just simply deal so much damage with this kind of ball of units. I do think we'll probably see a switch right here towards Stargate units as well as soon as Harstem is maxed out. It's like, yeah, he lost probes, but he was still actually ahead when it came to that work account anyway. Wouldn't mind seeing that gas once again. This time around, though, uThermal does manage to secure a 4th base a little bit easier, which is great. On this map of Ephemeron, you also get yourself this this nice high ground right over here. At least when you decide to take this one as your 4th base. Very helpful. But here we go. Protoss apparently wants to fight. Now, fighting on a planetary fortress into a siege tank clump, I'm not entirely sure how good that idea is still, though. Zealots do charge forward. Yeah, no, that's a lot more siege tanks. That's a lot more siege tanks. At the same time, though, a couple of Zealots made their way towards the natural. They pick up a few SCVs and also a couple of units that spawned inside of the Terran main base. They even get a siege tank here? No, just barely not. But apparently this will not stop Harstem from trying to brute force his way through. He's really trying. He's really trying to see if he can catch the Terran player off guard. Another downside of playing Terran mech is positioning, right? You have to be sieged up and in position if you want to fight anything. That scan right there confirming that Protoss is moving home is critical. This may very well trigger right now uThermal to go for the move out instead. Finishing up the +1 upgrade. Very important. And now he's also maxed out. I like the Protoss army here, but on this map, right, these bridges, they don't really allow Zealots to charge across very easily. 5th Nexus right now also coming up here for Harstem. Needs to be careful though. Once again, if these siege tanks manage to get into a position where the Protoss army is not located, it can be an absolute disaster. Siege tanks sieging up. Wouldn't mind seeing, yeah, some of them unsieged and then some of them moving forward. I think that's really good. One siege tank apparently now designated with the task of scouting any Zealot run-bys, which is what worked out so well last game. So it's at the very least going to trigger charge. Yep. So charge will be triggered. Nexus will be cancelled. Charge obviously does have a relatively short cooldown. And I think once again we're looking right here at a Protoss sandwich. Some of that Terran army though was switched around, but that means that there's not going to be that many beefy units right now in front. It's really only mostly siege tanks remaining. And it seems like Protoss just has such a big army to deal with that. Zealots charging forward, and once again, yeah, uThermal's army right there gets cleaned up. Harstem using those flanks absolutely beautifully. Alrighty, that means match point right now for our Protoss player here. Spotting in the bottom left-hand corner of World of Sleepers. uThermal playing really cool strategies. I really like it. But after it got scouted, I guess, right? Just simply by losing to it in game number 1. Harstem has really adapted wonderfully. So once again, as soon as he sees its Terran mech, he expands towards a 4th, he gets himself a lot of workers, goes for the blink upgrade, goes for the charge upgrade, goes double forge, and then he finally starts producing Archons and Immortals, right? So it's a relatively greedy way of starting off, I guess. I mean, he's definitely vulnerable there for a couple of minutes, but once the greed is in play, obviously the value is not to be underestimated a couple of minutes down the line. And I guess that's the real disadvantage of playing Terran mech. There's this weird moment when you transition from like early game to mid game where you really can't do a lot of pressure anymore. Right? I mean, I guess you can pressure with maybe like a starport unit or something like that, but it's all very expensive and you need to spend your money on getting those siege tanks out. But then if you just simply let Protoss do whatever, it seems like their inevitable army is just going to be more powerful. Now, the one thing I guess that uThermal, or rather Harstem, didn't have that previous game is a switch towards Protoss Air. So I think ultimately you do want to get yourself some Protoss Air units as well once Terran mixes in Thors and, you know, all of that. But yeah, we never really arrived at that point in the game just because Harstem just shut it down before it got there. So we'll see how this one is going to play out. I like the way that Harstem has been adjusting. Love the fact that uThermal is playing Terran mech here. I'm just not entirely sold on it just yet. It might be a cool strategy to go for in like a best of 5 series or something like that, like once or twice, right? But I don't know how it is if you want to use it as like the new standard necessarily. I feel like the Terran Bio army, especially from someone like uThermal, who is ridiculously good at microing bio units. Oh my god, that poor probe. Anyways, I kind of do feel like Terran Bio might just be a little bit more reliable, because it allows you to get more like of a tempo advantage, right? So, you know, like when Terran starts pushing across the map with bio and they get a couple of kills here and there, and they push with more bio and they get a couple more kills here and there, and eventually it steamrolls in their favor. You get that big tempo lead where you can continuously, you know, bring the hurt and lay down the law to your opponent. It feels like with Terran Mech, there's this really awkward lull in the game where nothing is really happening. It's like, yeah, you got some Cyclones out, but you can't really get much done with those because shield batteries and whatnot are defending everything. You gotta be worried about Blink Stalker, so you can't really move across very easily. It's very difficult, and you can't really get that big tempo lead that oftentimes gives the Terrans the advantage. Anyways, we'll see what the follow-up is gonna be. This time around, Harstem not gonna go for the Robo Opener. Instead, he decides to go for the Stargate. I quite like the Stargate Opener. By the way, he's not gonna go for any more scouting. So apparently when he feels safe, after losing game number 1, right, he went for some quick probe scouts. Actually, did he do that in this game as well? Well, I think he may have. I actually wasn't really paying close attention to what's happening on the screen, but yeah, he's just simply playing it a little bit more greedily right now that he's got a bit of wiggle room. Obviously, even if he loses this one, he's still gonna be fine. As far as at the very least the series goes. It's gonna be that Oracle though. So Oracle's obviously very good. A lot of harassment options. Do see a couple of the Hellions moving across right now. Starport follow-up as well. The Oracle, though, should be able to make its way across before really there's going to be a whole lot of defenses available. I like this wall, but apparently the wall is not quite enough, and that means that these Hellions make their way into the main. Now, the reason why you want to go with 4 is because 1 usually gets killed, and 3 is enough to one-shot these probes. Oracle right now turns around to try and help with the defense, but already... well, 8 probes right there end up going down at the cost of just a couple of Hellions. I do like that. That's really nice. Still, obviously, like, it's very easy, right? I see a lot of Terran players trying to kill probes and drones and whatnot so hard, not realizing that they lose a lot of units that cost a lot of money in the process as well. It's like, yeah, you kill 9 probes in total in this game, but you also lose 4 Hellions for it. I mean, yeah, you get a small advantage in my book, but what are you going to do against the counterattack? Here we go, the Adepts immediately shade in. They're going to be enough to also one-shot these workers. Oracle still has a couple of bits of energy left over, and it's actually now tanking a bit of the damage too. Great micro here so far by Harstem. Even gets himself that Oracle out of there. And once again, right, even though like the early game damage definitely was in favor there of the Terran player, I mean, he dealt a lot more damage to his opponent than Protoss managed to do. Right now, this is really starting to hurt. Cyclone comes out, it needs to lock on to a freaking Adept, which is not what you want. That means the Oracle can once again threaten the main. He does need to get out though. Okay, that's a little sloppy. Yeah, that's unnecessary. Okay, so let's have a look right here at the grand scheme of things. Protoss ended up losing some gas-heavy units. And, well, actually, hold that thought. Apparently there's a Banshee on the other side of the map too. That will be cleaned up, but... You know, Protoss ended up losing some gas-heavy units. Terran ended up losing 1 Banshee just now as well, which is 100 gas. All things considered, it's pretty even, right? Like, it's an eye for an eye, basically. Whenever we get in these kind of scenarios, though, you always want to pay attention to who has more bases and who is expanding faster. Because when both players are relatively even in worker count, the game usually comes down to the player who has more economy coming up in the near future. And Harstem is the one already going for that really greedy 3rd Nexus. This one must have been planted down at like 4:30 or something like that, very quick. Now also following it up with Double Forge, cancels the shield battery. Whew, Harstem is playing some greedy games. I guess it comes down to all of the scouting information that he constantly gets though, right? This push right here for uThermal is a scary one though. I mean, 3rd Command Center coming up right now. I like, by the way, how we had a buff to Stimpack. Stimpack went from 121 seconds of research to 100 seconds of research. And I don't think I've seen a single game of Terran vs. Protoss where that's actually been even remotely relevant. It was meant primarily to allow Terran players a way of countering a greedy 3rd base. I guess in this case, though, I mean, I'm looking at this. I don't think it really matters, right? That 3rd Nexus should be pretty much dead. Maybe not. He does have a couple of those Phoenixes up in the air. Yeah, they can pick up the siege tanks, obviously. Love the fact that, once again, a couple of those... ooh, that Banshee's back for more. It's actually another Banshee. Nicely done. But I love the fact that there's also, once again, a couple of those SCVs with this army. Making a bunker. We see the lock-ons here. It's gonna pick up, well, nothing. Still wasting some energy here on these Stargate units as well. Another siege tank moving into a very safe space. I think that this third Nexus is pretty much as good as dead. Although, Harstem wants to try and see if he can defend it. Okay, one reinforcing Viking. Certainly not gonna find what it's looking for. Is that gonna be enough here? I would imagine so. Love the fact that he's actually adding on more of those bunkers. Trying to see... Well, you know what? The third Nexus actually has to be target fired down right now. Oh my god. Oh my god. No! No! He gets it? He just cleaned that up! Whoa. Okay. So that was about 50 hit points right there on that Nexus. I was gonna say, I love the fact that he decided to go for 2 more bunkers just to try and deflect those Zealots with charge. I really do think that he probably could have gotten the kill on that Nexus if he would have targeted it with the Marines. He tried to gun down the Phoenixes instead. So the Phoenixes obviously would have then dropped those Cyclones, and then the Cyclones could be utilized to pick up the guaranteed kill on the Nexus. So I like the decision making there, but it just barely didn't work out, and that right now puts Harstem in a game-winning position. His army much bigger than his opponent, much scarier, much higher tech as well. And even though apparently he's still trying to YOLO units in to try and get the kill right there on that third base, it's not gonna happen. Well, you know what? Like, I do think that Harstem has an advantage, but I take back what I said about a game-winning advantage. I don't think that's actually quite right. So yeah, I do like the place that he's in right now. And Harstem certainly is ahead right here, but he still is in a, you know, in a spot where he has to sit back and he needs to leave units behind to protect his third Nexus. He doesn't know if there's like a medevac full of units coming up. Once again, by the way, it is that mech transition. I really love it. Is this spotted? No, this is not spotted right now. Still though, Harstem, I guess, can just simply assume that this is the case. Scan right now confirming that the gases over at the third were not taken, so he knows that there may very well be a push coming here from Terran or from Protoss in just a little bit. There we go. Zealots charging forward, trying to see if they can go after the base. This is Harstem capitalizing on the small advantage that he created for himself. SCVs are being hit, but you know what? It's important not to overextend. Love the positioning right there of that siege tank. Getting a lot of work done. Gotta be careful it doesn't accidentally kill a whole lot of friendly SCVs as well. Beautiful control there, though, by uThermal. Really not miscontrolling here whatsoever. Man, he's so good at micro, right? So sick. Love the way that Harstem is playing this, don't get me wrong, but I feel like many weaker Terran players right here would have rolled over. Great positioning right there, microing back and forth, pulling the SCVs at the right time. It's all very difficult to do. Harstem, though, never seems to really overcommit. I feel like that's the theme so far. By the way, this is a rich Vespian geyser. The same can be said right here for the one over here. So this one mines 8 gas a trip rather than the customary 4. So it will mine pretty much as a regular base does. It's just that, when you can see right here, it only has as much gas as a regular gas geyser does too. So even though it's going to give you similar income for a little while, then the gas... Whoa, 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 right click, no! Dude, no, don't kill your own Nexus! Oh my god, no, wait, no! Oh my... Apparently he also wanted to take out his anger right there on that one Stalker for a little bit. Wouldn't be the first time that I've seen someone accidentally kill their own base. Imagine giving away a lead like that. I would be triggered for the rest of the month. And it's only early September, so I mean, I'd be triggered for like, you know, weeks. No, but seriously, killing your own Nexus? That sucks. That sucks. Luckily, you caught it right there. It's the only disadvantage of upgrading your units, right? Like to kill your own your own units faster too. Love this little wall though. Yeah, nice. Couple of stalkers right there, creating a full wall off. And well, I also do like these pylons that he's sending out all over the map, making it very difficult here for Protoss to not catch units making their way across. You know what? There was only a couple of Hellions, but they still managed to get 6 probes. Harstem though, look at the work account right here, still sitting at 70. Right now, going for the Dark Shrine. So, we once again see a heavy Hellion Cyclone into a mass siege tank. This time around, Harstem has taken a different route of getting to Archon Immortal Zealot, but he still got there, right? I don't really know exactly if this is something that Harstem is too worried about, because he still has that greedy economy. And he still managed to get the units that he really wanted to go for in the first place anyway. Wouldn't mind even seeing like this base taken here, right here, now in a second. He does go once again though for the robotics bay too. Stargate coming up, that's a second Stargate obviously. So I don't know if this is necessarily for like, there's a couple of Zealots by the way. But I don't know if this is necessarily for like Colossus. It could also be for Disruptors. Disruptors obviously pretty freaking good when it comes to big siege tank balls. Balls are good at dealing with balls apparently. Loco 2019. Don't quote me on that. No, but seriously, like I want to see how this is going to play out. So there's a couple of Dark Templar ready to move in. Love this positioning right here, by the way, on these depots, creating like a really tough wall. So these Dark Templar would have to walk all the way around and then past the Widow Mine and past about 17 missile turrets to not be spotted. Double Immortal right now is a follow-up as well, though. Once again, it's going to be Archon Immortal Zealot going up against Terran Mech. Love this. Love seeing Terran Mech. Let's see how it plays out this time around. He doesn't blink. Get out of there. Good. Is he going for a counterattack? That could get awkward real fast. Okay, yeah. So apparently the Cyclones and the Hellions have been tasked with trying to see if they can get the base. Oh my god, dude, they're trying to right-take the base. They actually get the base. Whoa, that's huge. That's absolutely massive. At the same time, though, even though the Cyclones and the Hellions were moving back home, we see the siege tanks moving forward. But I'm looking at the siege tank army. It doesn't seem nearly as menacing as the previous one. Now, there's a lot of Widow Mines mixed in here as well. They're actually buried in locations where he's expecting to flank, but this time around, no flank available. Those Stalkers still out on the map, and there's just simply way too much Protoss. All of the Widow Mines already detonated earlier, and that means that this Protoss army is just simply walking through it. Zealots will come off cooldown right now with their charge upgrade. Stalkers body blocking the retreat path. And Harstem absolutely, once again, shuts it down. Love the body blocking right there. Using the tight spaces and the areas on the map. He needs to be careful, though. I was gonna say, he needs to see all of these Widow Mines. Okay, that's actually critical. That could have been a disaster. But I love the body blocking there, man. Aye. Played a lot of games with body blocking. Usually StarCraft is not one of them. So sick. That one Dark Templar from earlier. The one Dark Templar from earlier also helping out, but uThermal is the one who's forced to GG. Harstem wins the series 3-1. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile. And I'll see you once again in the next one.